A storm lying between New Zealand's South Island and Tasmania kicks off the weather this week. Hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us. We're taking a look at the weather around New Zealand, Australia, and also the South Pacific Islands. But we kick off with the focus between New Zealand and the southeastern corner of Australia, where we do have a storm system moving through over the next couple of days. That means more windy westerlies coming for New Zealand. We're not yet done. They fade out around about Wednesday, Thursday. So another 24, 48 hours to go before they ease. It's still warm though, with the mild nor'westers coming through, or northerlies for New Zealand. But it's a different story in Australia with colder southerlies coming through. And that is where we kick off our forecast with the below normal temperatures today across Australia. Look at all these below normal temperatures. That's basically about 70-80% of Australia leaning colder than usual for this time of the year, especially this area in pink, which is more than 8 degrees below normal. However, the main centres aren't too badly affected. The eastern areas here, places like Brisbane, not too bad. Even Sydney's not too bad at first, but that cool down is coming, and it certainly is. There is a temperature drop coming through for the entire eastern side of Australia. But the other side of the Tasman leans warmer with those westerlies and northerlies coming through. So most of New Zealand, especially the areas leaning red, which is a wee bit more to the east because of the westerlies blowing through, you're leaning 4 to 8 degrees above average for today. So enjoy it. It will be changing. So we've got rain coming through over the next day or two. Still heavy falls on the west coast as that storm system moves through. So over 100 millimetres through this zone, and around about 60 or 70 millimetres in the pink purple colouring surrounding it. We'll be seeing some heavier downpours around Mount Ruapehu National Park and towards Taranaki, and some heavier falls generally speaking in that southwestern corner, which will be quite welcome. However, northern areas and eastern areas are mostly dry, as are the main centres. You know, Dunedin, Christchurch, Wellington, Napier Hastings and Gisborne, Mount Maunganui, Tauranga, Hamilton, Auckland, Whangarei. Might have forgotten a couple of you, but those are the main centres that are all leaning fairly dry over the next couple of days. And in fact, over the next week, lean a little bit drier than average, because that rain is starting to taper off now, and it's going to be more southern focused. So here on Tuesday's forecast, you can see the heavy rain continuing on the west coast. That heavier rain around the North Island, mostly in that area we just talked about, Taranaki to Central Plateau and south towards about Manawatu. Elsewhere, yes, a few showers, but fairly dry overall. Still windy with the nor'westers, and even windier in the South Island and Cook Strait, where gale force winds are likely. And then temperatures drop down here in the south as more of that southerly flow from Australia starts to move our way. By Wednesday, that cooler air lingers around the southern part of New Zealand, and the whole country basically gets a temperature drop of a couple of degrees. Overnight lows drop a couple of degrees, daytime highs drop a couple of degrees, but it's not going to be too major, because really when you track the origins of that airflow, it's still coming out of central parts of Australia, so it's not going to be super chilled for you. But Wednesday's a windy, showery day across New Zealand, while high pressure locks in the weather over the eastern side of Australia. Cooler nights, but very, very pleasant days. And in the tropics, plenty of easterlies blowing through for you. A little bit of low pressure up there is starting to form between Fiji and Samoa. Now, as we move through the week, the weather settles down in New Zealand, especially on Thursday. Light winds, high pressure out here in the Tasman, that's the one that's exiting Australia, and it brings through light, warm westerlies for southern New Zealand. So it should be a fairly nice gradual end to the week. But on the other side of Australia, there's low pressure and colder south to southeast winds coming in for Perth, and also southerlies and southwesterlies coming in for Adelaide, a small, weak, low pressure system just there. On Friday, that low falls apart but joins into a new front. That front's trying to move into the South Island, so ahead of it, the nor'westers pick up. So Friday's going to see temperatures lifting back up in the South Island, and in the North Island, sunnier, calmer, drier, for a change after what we've just had for the past few days. In the tropics, still plenty of showers and easterlies, but we're now starting to see a bit of low pressure deepening and developing around that zone just directly to the north of the country. And that's where we ended on Saturday. So we've got low pressure to the north here. You notice that red line. North of that, it's really tropical, thick, humid air. So that is dropping down and covering Fiji and coming down towards Tonga, but it's also going to help produce a bit of a rainmaker to the north, and that's going to encourage clouds, easterlies, a bit more humidity coming back to northern New Zealand this weekend. While at the other end, a small low comes through and drives in some wind and rain to the southwestern corner. So a few showers in the north, a few showers or some rain in the south. Otherwise, Saturday looks a bit windy with westerlies, cloudy and fairly dry. We'll update that as we go through the week, though. At this time of the year, a messy map like that can certainly change. And the high pressure zones, the one to the west and the one to the east. The one to the east is quite a long way away from us by the weekend, and the one to the west, very weak. So there's plenty of low pressure on this map as we go into the weekend. That's all from me. We'll see you on Tuesday with our next update.